This video is brought to you by my website, aeroparts.com, high quality, genuine parts. In this video, I will be replacing the rear spark plugs and ignition coils in a 1999 Lexus ES300 with 68,000 miles. Kind of interesting actually. But before I get started, let's talk about the tools that we need, because the type of tools that you have will determine whether or not you can do this job without removing the intake manifold. And obviously, if you have small hands, this is going to be a little easier for you. Now, the tools that you see in front of me on this cart are the tools that you will need. Notice that there is Teflon tape. I will be using that to wrap the extension to be able to get the other extensions and the spark plug socket out. Now, of course, if you have high quality extensions, you probably won't need the Teflon tape, but this video is going to be geared towards those on a budget, especially the way the economy and the auto market is going. Check this one out. So a friend of mine brought this car by today because it's got a misfire, and they changed the front ignition coils in it. We have a 1999 Lexus ES300, and it's got the VVTi motor, because the non-VVTi motor has the 3 coils in the front and 3 spark plug wires in the back. It has a waste spark system where you have 3 coils that shares the spark with the ignition coil. I'm gonna go through this thing. This thing has, he works at a car lot. Look at that. How cool is that? And that's original too. Kind of went around the car to check. It's got the it's got new tires on it, but as you can see, they put some of the good brand stuff on it. You got the Michelin's tires matching all around. The trim is real nice. It has a little wear here, but it's really nothing abnormal. It is abnormal only in the sense that it's abnormally nice. 1979, right? What was 24 years ago? As of the date of this video, check this out. Now, I don't want to get too far carried away, but I just have to show this car off because this is really cool. A 1999 Lexus ES300 with 68,000 original miles. The condition of the clips, the rubber, the wire harnesses, the connectors, the stickers, everything is in fantastic condition, and it's all untouched. There are some oil leaks under the car, but that's to be expected for 20-plus-year-old oil seals. This one in particular, though, does have a rebuilt starter and a rebuilt alternator. They are Toyota OEM Denso, so it tells me that this car probably was sitting for a long time and had some sort of electrical or charging issue. It does have a bad ignition coil. Now, my friend replaced all the front ones, as you can tell, all the coils and the spark plugs, and he brought it to me because he was unable to replace the back 3. He was convinced that the intake manifold had to be removed, but I've worked on this type of car before more than once, and I've done it without removing the intake manifold. It is very possible to do, and I will be showing you just a moment here, but I'm going to finish this walk around on this car because I still feel like a kid in Candyland. A little bit of scrapes, as you can see on the bumper, but otherwise the condition is phenomenal. Nothing out of the ordinary. In fact, it is an out of the ordinary vehicle. Yeah, even the wear on top of the steering wheel. Look at that, man. Wow. So this car in particular has a misfire. Now, if you see something like P0300, which is random misfire or multiple misfire, don't freak out. A lot of times cars will throw the P0300 when they are unable to identify the actual cylinder. And this happens a lot of times when there's only 1 or 2 cylinders misfiring. 2 cylinders misfiring is actually pretty bad, but if there's just one, you can still get a P0300. So erase the codes so we can get the most relevant codes to show up. Now, I'm going to delete the existing codes now that I see what the codes were, at least get a chance to record them and delete them, because I want the most relevant code. The check engine light will turn off and it will turn back on because the car is still misfiring. But I want to see what the most relevant code is so I can pinpoint this quickly. We don't have to diagnose too much further, but we'll see. If we have to diagnose further, we'll do that. Now, while I'm waiting for my check engine light to turn back on, I'm going to use my GTC 505, which is a phenomenal tool. It's not as in-depth as a picoscope. This will only show you the high side voltage of the ignition coil, but it is still a phenomenal tool and very quick and easy to use. to diagnose any ignition misfire. So if you have ignition system that's functioning properly but an issue with the fuel system causing a misfire or a mechanical issue, this will at least rule out the ignition system, and you can do it very quickly. Now I know this question is going to come up in the comments. I would probably use Denso on the car this nice. Now this was brought to me by my friend. He already brought the parts, so I'm just going to work with it. You will see Denso on my website very soon, so keep in touch with the website. Now that drop every time I lift it off of one ignition coil and put it onto the next one is totally normal. We're going to ignore that. And you'll also see it move all over the place on the graph if I kind of drag it around and put it in the wrong spot. So just keep that in mind. And here's that moment where I didn't have a good connection. So I'm going to adjust the contact. And there we go. This one, as you can see, is just fine. Now on to cylinder number 3, which is the one in the middle by the firewall. As you can see, no problem as well. And now cylinder number 1. Take a close look. What do you see? Now the data looks crazy in between, so we're ignoring all the weird spikes every time I lift it and put it back on the ignition coil. But take a look at cylinder number 1. You see all those drops? Those are misfires. We know for sure that this cylinder is misfiring, and it's an ignition misfire, not a mechanical misfire. This is when you can feel it. Very, very heavy misfire. I can totally hear the misfire. That's what the misfire feels like through a camera. Angles here. These are the back ignition coils. Oh yeah, fantastic. We got one right here. Okay, this one can be just removed from here. The second one, you're gonna have to reach your hand back there, and this is where you're gonna have to let your car cool down. And that's where we're going to be going from. And as usual, I always seem to struggle with some of the simplest things. I reckon that has never been removed. So you just kind of pry on it gently. Gently is the key word here. Just kind of give it a push so we can get that off. And I'm actually going to, I usually cut the clips, but I'm going to show removing the actual coil, not cut those clips, just so you can actually see where this coil is being routed. And I'm going to do the same for the other ones as well. Keep in mind, I'm also doing this using one hand and holding the camera in the other hand. So if you're not recording, well, you got two hands to work here, and most likely you're not going to be able to fit both hands back there. But when you get to the other cylinders in the back, you might be able to, and I'll show you just a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of route the ignition coil around the wiring. Make sure to be as gentle as you can, and out comes the ignition coil. Now the spark plugs use a 5/8 spark plug socket. Make sure it has a little rubber grommet, and here is the setup. I have my two extensions that I'm going to be using, and don't forget you may need your Teflon tape here, but I didn't use it here. I'll show you later on when I use that Teflon tape. We're going to remove that spark plug as well. Push that thing down so it locks on. Now we can fit our ratchet in there. There we go. I'm not going to do this with one hand here. I don't like doing this with one hand. and it's all loosened up, and out will come that spark plug. Once again, you're going to want to be careful as well not to drop it actually back into the cylinder, and this is why you'll need a good spark plug socket that has a good grommet in there to actually hold that spark plug.
It's not cracked or anything.
Now we have our new spark plugs. We got some Bosch spark plugs.
Lasting more.
Installation is the same process, and the torque values will be in the description. And I have my needle nose pliers, which worked here. I was able to make use of them here, but again, the Teflon tape is probably going to be a much better bet. Now you notice I have a different extension. This extension worked well here. Now use it on cylinder number 3, you'll notice that, and that was going to be a mistake. We'll get to that when we get to that. And the new ignition coil is in, and I'm just going to tighten it up and move on to the next cylinder. I suspect that was our problem. So I'm going to start it up and let's take a look. We are going to find out right now if that cylinder was our problem. Oh yeah. Oh man, that was super smooth. Smooth as butter. Look at that. Well, now that that's done, I can just call it, but I'm going to finish what my friend asked me to do and just change the other two. And I know you want to see how to get these out, because that's kind of why I'm here for that video. So we're going to remove number 3, which is the one in the middle, and it is the hardest one to remove, but it's really not that much harder, and I'll show you. You're going to use the exact same extension, the exact same spark plug socket, and we're going to get it out. Now I'm actually doing this with one hand. It's not to show off, but I just wanted to get a clip, a good shot of the back 3 spark plugs and ignition coils, so you can see, yeah, it's possible. My hand is going right through that intake manifold in that area, and it's no problem. You can get it right on out. Now if you have both hands, where this camera is, you can actually stick your other hand there and make it a lot easier to get that ignition coil out. It's a whole lot easier with 2 hands than one, but just saying. Here comes that ignition coil, and I'm lifting it up. It's back there where the arrow is, and I actually needed 2 hands to get this out, but you'll see that it comes up no problem. You just have to be careful with the wiring that's around the ignition coil. And that ignition coil is almost out. I need both hands to get it out, so I wasn't able to get literally the entire part, but you get the idea. It came right out, no problem. This is the hardest one. Cylinder number 5 is going to be a whole lot easier, but for anybody that does need it, I'm going to show you anyways, because that's why we're here. That's why I'm making this guide. I will be showing you that Teflon tape trick as well, because I know you're going to be needing that trick. We just have to get this spark plug out and get it right back in, and we'll talk about the mistake that I made with the wrong size extension, which is the one that you're looking at right now. I was able to get it in no problem. That wasn't the issue. But when it came to removing that extension, it was too long, and I should have just used the 2 3-inch extensions. You can take a look at how the ratchet is set up back here. This is how I have it placed. It worked well with the 6-inch extension, but when it came to trying to get it out, it was interfering with the firewall. So I had to remove that extension and replace it with the two 3-inch extensions in order to actually get the spark plug out.
Yeah, that light was actually on.
No, but here's the thing though. I did an oil change and I put in like almost 4 quarts, and then it looked like as if it was low.
Now I finally got that 3-inch extension and I'm able to get that out no problem. Here comes that spark plug. In goes the new spark plug. And always a reminder to be careful not to drop the spark plug in there. Tighten it by hand and then torque it down. Torque specs will be in the description. Here's that Teflon tape method. I'm just going to wrap that Teflon tape around the end of that extension, right where I insert into the other extension. It's going to allow it to grab the other extension much tighter and allow me to retrieve anything that's stuck in there a whole lot easier than trying to use pliers. Pliers do work. I used them a little earlier in the video, but Teflon tape is a much better method.
Try this. Got it, no problem. Okay. Alright, it plugs in. Look at that. There's plenty of room here.
And on to cylinder number 5. If you manage to get cylinder number 3, well, this is going to be a walk in the park. As you can see here, there's plenty of room to get my tools in here, and this coil and spark plug will come out no problem. Just take a look at the video so you can see where I position my ratchet, and that's all you need.
This one is not hard at all. I'm gonna twist it. Man, these things. This one comes right out. Oh man, this is so much room.
And this video clip shows how I had my ratchet set up. I was able to break the spark plug loose and remove it little by little, but no problem, I was able to get it pretty quickly and get it out. There we go.
Hey, Carl. Yep. I'm voicing over it too, but I'm actually done. Just about. I put the last spark plug in.
Go online and do a manual restart on my cable box.
Did it fix? That fixed it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Alright, got it all nice and tight. I'm gonna be working on removing this. Nope. Look that rubber promise loose in here. And if I can't get it quickly, I'm gonna use Teflon tape. Yeah.
And that is it. As you can see from this video, these spark plug and ignition coils can be replaced without removing the intake manifold. It's very possible. The only thing that's left to do is to start it up, make sure the engine runs smoothly, and take it for a test drive. You can't tell me this isn't the best feeling as a DIYer. If this video helped you out, make sure to hit like. If you're looking for similar content, make sure to subscribe. And don't forget, if you're looking for high quality, genuine parts, make sure to check out aeroparts.com.